So most people don't get what they want because they fail at the first step, and that's to do with their goals. And if you're anything like me, you used to love setting goals, but you hated the frameworks. I thought they were shit, especially SMART goals. But anyway, so I created my own, and it's been one of the most effective things for all my clients. It's called the DENT Goals Framework, and I introduce you to it in this podcast. A couple of other podcasts I go through in far more detail. You get a really good snippet on how to use the DENT Goals Framework in this podcast. Not only is it going to help you get clear on the end goal for you over the next, say, 12 months, it's going to be able to tell you not just what you need to do daily, but who you need to be, how you need to show up every single day in order to be the person that lives your goals in 12 months. Now, originally, this and the next technically 28 videos were part of what's called the Boss Fit 30 series. I don't run the Boss Fit 30 anymore, so if there's any references around that, it'll be a little bit outdated. However, I do have a different program. You can find a bit more information below. So you're going to cut into the podcast now. I hope you enjoy it. Now, this is a tip of the hat to Daniel Priestley and the team at DENT Global in his book Oversubscribe, which is a great book for any business owners. I highly recommend you getting around that sort of stuff. The content they do is amazing. And he talks about being a campaign-driven enterprise. And so what that's really meaning around as a business is that you've got these campaigns that you're continually driving in order to find your tribe, in order to find the individuals that are going to be a good fit for your business. And so they have three main campaigns. They've got a yearly campaign, a quarterly campaign, and then a weekly campaign. And I thought that's a fantastic format. I really like that format for a number of reasons. And I'm like, you can actually use it for goals, which is really interesting. Obviously, people know weekly goals and then quarterly goals and so forth. But I wanted to shift it a little bit. And so what I ended up doing was creating DENT goals, D-E-N-T. And what DENT stands for is D, your daily default. So how are you showing up every single day? E stands for your every week. What does your every week look like? Another word for this is your perfect repeatable week, which I'll get to. And then the N stands for 90 days. What are your 90-day check-ins? Where are you going to be at in the next 90 days? And then T is what's your theme for the year? So when we look at this, we go DENT, we've got daily, weekly, quarterly, and yearly approach. It's more of a short-term framework. We're not looking at 10-year vision and what your legacy is and your 5-year. We're looking at, all right, what's going to create some significant shift for you over the next 12 months that's going to be relatable, relevant, and also approachable for where you're at, but really allow you to get some traction. The other key thing here is that, like, we're looking at goals and resolutions. And so, for example, they're not often referred to as New Year's goals. They're often referred to as New Year's resolutions. How are you going to, what are you resolving to be and act like and do over the next 12 months, your New Year's resolutions? So I'm going to point a little bit to that. The other thing is that there's some that are measured, there's some that are unmeasured. And this is important because they go together. What the DENT goals really allow us to do is to make it really clear and concise around where we're going and who we need to be there in order to get there. That's really important. So let's have a look here. DENT, your daily default is a resolution. Your every week, so your perfect repeatable week, is a goal. Like, what does that look like that you're basically going to set every single week? And then your 90 days is a goal. So it's goals, when I'm referring to that, are kind of measurable. You know if you can do it or you don't. Whereas your resolutions, you might find impacted by different things. They're different factors, from your mental state to the social state to the environment to your physical body. However, you're resolving more often than not to show up in a particular way. And so they're very hard to measure, yet they're a good way for you to be able to check in with yourself and go, am I on the right path with where I'm going and who I need to be in order to get there? With those as, let's call them pillars, your daily, your every week, your 90 days, and your theme, the way that we actually set this out is we do it in reverse. And so we start with your theme. So the importance of looking at your theme for the year, another way that you can think of this is like, what's this season? What is this next season for you in life? What is this era? What era are you going into? What that allows us to do is to make sure it's actually relevant for now. We're not going, I want to be fit like I was in my 20s. I want to have my pre-baby body back. We're not setting goals on the past. What we're doing is we're looking at a line in the sand of where we are today, and we're going, over this next year, what am I going to call this era? What am I going to call this theme? if this was to be a season of something, what would it be? A season of no? Is the theme live different? Is the theme do the opposite of what I used to do? So in other words, risk taking. Is it to explore your edges? Like, what's the theme for you? And is it relevant to maybe a stage of life? Is it relevant to, do you have a newborn? Do you have some grandchildren on the way? Did you just come out of a relationship? Like, what is relevant for now where you're at that you could go, if I was to enter the next era, what would I call that would push me in the way that's more relevant, authentic, and genuine for me, that feels good for me, right? If I was to look back on this era of my life, what would I call it? What would I want to call it ideally, given the idea that I'm going to get to where I want to get to? So your theme for the year. Your 90 days is your checkpoints. And so from today, in 90 days, and you can do this for a year if you wanted to, what's my checkpoints here? Not necessarily on the way to that theme that I'm writing, but how do I know that I'm moving in the direction, so I'm directionally correct? How do I know that I'm moving in the direction of my dreams and my goals? What are the checkpoints for me? Is it to do with an event? Am I booking an event? Am I booking a holiday? Am I aiming to measure like as many perfect repeatable weeks over that 13 weeks? I've got 13 weeks in a quarter, and my checkpoint is 11 weeks out of 13 that I've fucking nailed. Is that what your 90-day check-in is? What is it for you that you can look back on in 90 days and you're able to check in? Is it literally starting off weekend little holidays for you, so you've got a weekend to go away, reassess, reset your goals, check in with yourself, go over your DENT goals again, and make sure that you are changing anything you need to in order to get to where you want to get to? What's your check-in? What's your 90-day check-in? Every week. Now, this one is really quite profound. These every weeks are like pretty boring, basic weeks. If you were to have a perfect repeatable week, which is different than a perfect week, your perfect repeatable week, something that you can repeat time and time again, what would that perfect repeatable week be? What would that look like? What would it sound like? What would it feel like? And what would be involved with that? What are the tasks you're doing? Are you going to the gym? Like, really, you want to be going, what's my current week? And then what's the next step, right? What is something that I could do that I would do? We don't want to go, where am I? Like, if you don't know where you're at now and you're setting some sort of arbitrary goal of your perfect week, you're going to fall on your face. What's your perfect repeatable week? And we just call it your every week because it's just almost boring. And it's like calling it, like, I just brush my teeth. It's like, oh my God, that's so amazing. How do you do it? It's like, just something that I do every day. It needs to carry that energy, because that means that we're going to be able to repeat it again and again and again. And that will be your building block of where you're at in 12 months time. Just in the way, if you look back on your last 12 months, your inverted commas every week has already done that for you. You've got to where you got to because of your inverted commas perfect repeatable week, whether you were paying attention to it or not. So we've got your theme, your 90 days, your every week, your daily default. This one is crucial. And the reason why we do it last is because you want to think about what's my theme for the year, and then who do I need to be every single day? What inner resources do I need to get? What outer resources do I need to build? What I need to have access to be able to show up in a different way? My guess is if you're listening to this podcast, if you're doing the Boss Fit 30, you want something different. Doesn't necessarily, I'm not saying better, you might already be good, but maybe there's a gap between good and great. That's just, it's just picking at you just that little bit, right? This is about you closing that gap. This is about you going, I know things are good, but I also know that if I look back on my life, I've just got this small chip on my shoulder that's going to be regret, and I want to close that gap. This is your opportunity. How do you need to show up differently every single day that's going to put you in the trajectory of going exactly where you deserve to be? Crucial. So, in order to go from problem to prize, right, your outcome here, this is a short-term 12-month approach. Yes, of course, there's other goals, and in our other programs we do run sort of longer-term goals and more intergenerational stuff, but right now it's about getting traction, thinking, sort of starting to extend your time horizon, getting traction in the short term. But in order to have this environmental and physical shift, we need to have the mental shift. So your daily default, which is the next podcast anyway, is going to be crucial for that. So my last question for you with this is, how do you need to show up every single day in order to get to where you want to get to and where you ultimately know you deserve to get to? I hope you got a lot out of those DENT goals. It is one of the first steps in our high capacity human pathway. If you're interested to learn about how to become a high capacity human or high capacity leader and what that actually means, I've got a full pathway for you in the link below. Otherwise, make sure you subscribe, do all that sort of stuff if you want more of this content, because I've got heaps more coming for you.